Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivamy.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of heroic television or film. And this week on the podcast, we are talking about the original. We are talking about 1979's Alien.
Just Alien.
Just Alien.
Can you believe we haven't done Alien?
It does seem wild. We did Prometheus and Covenant, and we've done the ones that might be described as rough around the edges.
Yeah. We avoided the good Aliens movies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to check both of our feeds, like the regular and the Patreon, like 3 times to be like, we must have done Alien.
And now
we've been doing this for so long. And we've never done Alien.
We're tired. When will we be released?
Mm-hmm. And I also think Prometheus was like the 4th episode or something, so it was a while ago.
Yeah, that was pretty early on, pretty fresh. But yeah, the original 1979 Alien is what we're talking about this week, and we're talking about it in the build-up to the release of the new film, Alien Romulus, as well, which we will be covering on the podcast once that's released.
Andrew, here's a little tidbit about Alien Romulus, which Andrew told me. It's actually set after this movie and before Aliens, so we really nailed it on this one.
Yeah, the timeline is weird. Romulus is in between Alien and Aliens.
Alien 0.5?
They're like, let's go back to where the heat was, is where Romulus is occurring. Let's go back to the heyday of this franchise. So just a weird little tidbit there.
No, I like knowing we love to know where a franchise is going.
And also the timeline's an absolute mess.
I don't even remember where Prometheus lands or Covenant.
We
reviewed them.
The other day I started reading a Wikipedia timeline of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, and let me tell you, that is an hour I'll never get back of my human life, where it is convoluted, and boy, there's a lot of unnecessary stuff going on.
To be clear, it's very long. Andrew's not just a slow reader.
Yeah.
It's too much information.
Yeah, and I do know that there is also an upcoming Alien television series.
There's an Alien television series.
Which exists not quite in the timeline. Apparently, it is only acknowledging the original Aliens films and none of the Prometheus Covenant stuff. So that's going to be an Abrams Star Trek type of deviation of the timeline. I don't know what we're doing there.
I can be fine with that because the alien has no character and the actual characters almost never carry over.
Yeah.
Really, you just need to find any alien.
If anything, trying to connect all of them might be a fool's errand on the part of the film studio, but we'll be the judge of that here. But before we get into today's episode, we want to thank our sponsor of today's episode. We want to thank our friends over at Mint Mobile.
I'm going to thank Mint Mobile for having great deals that are so easy. Mm-hmm. It's a great deal, and it's just straightforward, no BS. It's like, here's your contract. You can keep your phone. You've got great new cell phone service. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
It's easy. It's $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, which is just really straightforward stuff. When you go to their website, you can understand what's actually happening. It's not. I've gotten 3 pop-ups deep on some websites before, and I'm like, I don't know if this is a web design thing or a shady company thing, but I'm disappointed in how this is all played out.
It's not one of those websites where there's an asterisk and you're supposed to scroll down way to the bottom.
By the time
extra fine print. Boo.
When you get to that triple asterisk, and I'm like, what do we do? And sometimes there's new characters. I'm like,
not with Mint Mobile.
No. With Mint Mobile, it's all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text, delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan. You can bring over your old phone number along with all your existing contacts and everything. So the switch is super easy.
It's super easy. They can send you a new SIM card or they can get an eSIM. So many options of easy, affordable mobile plans.
And to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/TFS. That's mintmobile.com/TFS. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/TFS. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. And now, let's get into the episode. Let's talk about 1979's Alien. All right. We have rewatched 1979's Alien, and we are joined today by a wonderful guest, friend, and comedian Nigel Grinstead. Hey, Nigel.
What the damn hell? How's it going?
What the damn hell,
What
indeed.
the damn hell?
What the damn hell?
What did we just watch? What are these aliens?
I feel like that is something that, like, easily one of the, like, the lower decks characters in this film could have said about the alien at some
what
point.
the damn hell?
What the damn
And
hell?
all this space food. Can't wait to eat some real food. They always say that.
Say that, yeah. When are we gonna? And I'm like, this seems like a feast, frankly. If we're being real, they have a lot of that. They're eating well.
That's like a big trope of like old space movies. They're like, oh, I can't wait to not eat these protein cubes anymore once I get back to Earth Prime.
But they had like it looked like real food. I'm like,
looked
that's like a
takeout.
That's like a chickpea salad. Like
Yeah.
that's not dehydrated like bullshit.
Oh yeah, John Hurt's eating some bok choy. I saw some bok choy in there.
For all of the imaginary machinations that Giger created for what a spaceship would be like, no effort was made for space food, where they're like, oh no, it's space chicken nuggets. And it's a visible chicken nugget from McDonald's that's been painted blue. And they're like, oh boy, I hate how they taste in space.
The only thing they did was like, Ian Holm has to drink milk because this is relevant when he explodes.
Yeah.
So this is
If
the
he's-
only thought we put into food.
They're like, if he's not full of milk, then when he explodes, what'll come out of him?
Well,
It has to be milk.
Has to be milk. It's gonna look great.
It's like, do all aliens drink milk? And they're like, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. Or robots. Do all robots drink milk? Don't worry about it. Don't even worry about
This
it.
movie has aliens and robots, which is crazy. The
Has
title
one of
should be
each.
changed.
This movie is wildly lucky in the sense that a lot of science fiction movies, by the time they add a fourth thing, it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
By the time it's like, and also there was a progenitor species that crash landed, but it's not, they're not the alien.
Yeah.
The big skeleton is not the titular alien from Alien. It is the thing they were carrying on a different planet in a precursor story is the alien from Alien. Also, there's robots. Also, the AI ship called Mother is a thing.
Mother.
And for,
Also, the egg's not the alien. It just puts the alien inside you, and
That's
that's
right.
a different alien.
the egg creates a different alien. That is not the titular alien.
From the egg is born a separate alien. Don't worry about that one. It hugs, puts the alien in you. That thing comes out. It grows real quick, and then that's the guy we're talking about.
That's
That's the guy.
And that'll take about 35 minutes to get to that.
Like, in a lot of ways, it's not a very streamlined story.
no, it shouldn't work, and lesser movies fail by the like third convoluted thing. But this movie does largely work. Well, let's start with the simple question. Let's summarize our feelings on it. Diana, did you like it?
Oh yeah, I like Alien. It's no aliens, and it's really weird because I don't think I'd watched Alien for a while, and I was like, man, I keep expecting a lot of stuff from Aliens to happen, but it's an incredible movie. Yeah, it's slow paced, but this is very 1979 sci-fi pacing. Like you gotta forgive it, but it's like, yeah, the effects are incredible. It's like revolutionary stuff's happening left and right. You got the alien, you got the chest burster, you got Ripley, the female lead who survives and is actually right and not respected, of course, because that would be too many steps forward for women. But she's right and she survives. Yeah, there's nothing not to love about Alien unless you just can't stand like 1970s pacing, which
Which is a different pace.
Yeah.
Which is
It
a very
it's a different vibe.
pacing. But yeah, no, definitely a love for Alien.
And Nigel, what about you? What are your feelings on Alien?
Love, love, love. It's got a lot of my favorite tropes of that era and of this sort of genre, which is you don't see the monster a lot. Mm-hmm. You got an unclear protagonist, and you have a 4-minute shot of a corridor.
No, you do.
Yeah, just to be like, look how bland it is. We made it so bland up here.
And that is a real vibe of thrillers at the time. Just to be like, we want you to get used to corridors.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think it's planned though. I think those shots are always like, look how like real we made it. It's dirty.
They spent so much
Look
time
how
on it.
dirty it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my thoughts. But Andrew, did you like Alien?
I really like it. I'm very similar to Diana. I think I'm more of a fan of Aliens. I like the pacing of Aliens a little bit better, as it's a little bit more action heavy than thriller. I think if I wanted to kind of rewatch a thriller of this era with this pacing, I would probably go for The Thing before I would rewatch Alien. But obviously, I still loved it. I still think it's incredible. It's groundbreaking. It's fascinating. It's a brilliant brilliant piece of work that I'm like, there's just a handful of things around this era and time that I like a hair better that I would probably turn to first. But still, like, nothing but love and respect. Yeah, the vibes are incredible. The set work, the detail, the creatures. An unclear protagonist, a higher build actors that are, than Ripley.
Yeah, Sigourney's not top build.
No. So yeah,
That's
the unclear protagonist, as you mentioned. So
Ian
I do
Holm
really
back
like
there
that.
coveting something else. He's always coveting.
I think
Big on covets.
I think Tom Skerritt was the top build
He must have
actually
been.
as Dallas. Yeah. So I really like a lot of about this, and long corridor vibes. One thing that on the corridor vibe tip that I do want to talk about, because that is a like 70s and 80s thriller horror hallmark to be like, check out this corridor. It's The Shining. It's this. There is something about like it establishes, I think, for a lot of directorial styles, like this is the color palette of the movie, this is the tone of the movie, and also that's a chance for like to let the soundtrack shine as well, to be like, check out who we had score this movie.
Right.
One thing this movie does for when it shows hallways is it kind of pulls back into this center area where you can see two hallways split off. And it's weird how simple it was that I'm like, I don't think I've actually seen that in this trope of showing hallways. And it's a weird way that kind of shows the depth and maze of the ship, where it's like most ships' interiors, even today in television and film, is like, here's how the ship looks. It's a hallway. Look at that. That's how the ship looks. Whereas this, it shows a V intersection, and it's like, look how it goes two directions. It's a little confusing and a little monotonous, and that's going to kind of come into play later when we're getting kind of lost and confused. And I'm like, that's just really smart visual storytelling.
It's good for scale too, yeah. Because it's like, which hallway are we in? I don't know.
And to be like, and this is a ship with more than one hallway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This isn't the hallway.
And it's a good way to imply space when you haven't built an entire ship. You're like, we built 3 hallways, but we made one of the hallways look long in 2 directions. So it's quite big.
You just turn the camera around and film there.
And we're set. We're ready to go.
Swivel.
It is as easy as that.
Yeah, I like that. And there's also like a crazy, like, I'm all about the dirt on stuff. And I also like in the first hallway shot, because it's like, it's dirty, it's grimy. And then it gets to the medical airlock door, and that door is pure white. And it's like, oh, okay, there's like, it's not just all dirty. You've actually like, there's like one part of the ship that's like, you got to keep that clean. And it's where we go into cryo sleep.
Yeah, it's like super sanitized. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of thought put into like the layout.
And as well of like the mother room as well being the other, like, this is a little bit more
The
clean.
Cerebro, yeah.
Yeah, the Cerebro. I was thinking a little bit of like the HAL of type of very, very Kubrick futurism as well.
100%.
Of different vibes going on. And I think that that's actually like a really smart thing about this ensemble cast and like what they do with each character is that this is meant to be kind of like oil riggers, roughneckers in space. And as weird an ensemble it is, I'm like, I actually kind of buy that these are the dozen people who do this job. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, I grew up in Newfoundland. Like, I know people who worked the oil rigs, and I'm like, I know people who are like, a dozen of them go out, and 10 of them very much hate safety regulations. And 2 of them are wildly horny for safety regulations.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, that's the mix up of that crew. There is one person who is hyper educated scientist. Then there are 2 dudes who just are like, I know pipes. And I'm like, I've met this group of people who have all gotten the same helicopter to an oil rig before. I'm like, it feels very practical.
I think it's very practical. It's a good mix. They feel real. I will say I think my only problem with the layout of the crew is I'm like, man, so many people on the bridge and 2 mechanics, huh? Have you seen how big the ship is? Like when the ship breaks later and it's like these 2 guys are like, I don't know, 10 hours. I'm like,
That's
do you
so
have
funny,
robots?
Yeah.
Who's fixing a ship? I can't fix my house in 10 hours. Like if that table breaks, we're fucked.
Yeah.
The table is load bearing in our apartment.
The whole podcast studio just flips over. Not in 10 hours, I'm not fixing it. So yeah, I was like, okay, there's like 8 people, like, we land the ship and 2 guys fix the ship? These aren't the right proportions.
Yeah, because they're probably just gonna go bang a spanner off a pipe for a while. But it's funny because in that specific scene, they're like, how long is it gonna take? And they're like, say it's gonna take 17. And on the radio, they're like 25. Like they're slackers too. They're like, They're like, we're gonna piss around for a bit down here in the belly.
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah,
that
definitely
that
one
is
guy.
very real. And like wanting more money and like
Always.
trying to get more time off.
Always.
And everyone being exhausted by them as well. Like it just feels right.
Yeah, definitely the difference of hierarchy there of like the bridge crew and the two guys are like have different contracts, which is such a small but real detail of like, well, no, you're technically a contractor. You only get half a share. And they're just like always grinding.
Yeah.
But also they're not because they're like, if we're only getting half a share, it's going to take 25 hours.
Yeah, we're doing half the work. Half the shares, half the work.
Half
We
the
all know
work.
this.
Or double the breaks. Or double the. And I'm
Yeah.
this is every person on a construction crew I've ever met.
They're always bartering. They're incessantly bartering.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we need 3 more Tim's breaks. And but what I also respect though is that they are still good at the job.
Yeah, they're
Insanely.
wildly talented.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's space. You die. They
If
also
you're not
die.
good, you die.
If they're not good, they also die.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you're still gonna have to do a good job, but you can do it slow at your own pace.
They're the best of the best, but they kick a can every once in a while. They're like, dang it, I gotta go. You know?
I need more smokes. Hang on. All of them
they
chain
light up
smoke.
so many darts.
Oh boy! And those
Boy, do
dudes,
they smoke.
And those dudes call them darts. Let's be real.
Oh, yeah.
That's a real
Brett and
southern.
Parker, yeah.
Brett and Parker.
Brett and Parker, they call them darts.
Those
They're
are
hacking
character
darts.
names.
Which is such a Southern Ontario thing, but somehow they still call them
Oh,
darts. Yeah, they're hucking darts during their break. Absolutely. And I respect it. But yeah, they know how to do their job, though, which anyone in space has to. Otherwise, people die. And that is kind of like, this is one of the movies we use often on this podcast as an example of like a genre we love, which has nothing to do with space or science fiction or aliens. It is a genre we call competence porn, where everyone is actually good at what they do
Right.
and no one does the overly stupid thing to propel the plot forward. It's just that sometimes things are really difficult to get done. And I love that type of movie. Everyone in this movie is hyper competent, with the exception of like the android who is obviously like rooting against them, but even then is competent
Very,
and is
very cleanly rooting against them.
Yes.
Very overtly against them.
He's not against humans. He's just for aliens.
Yeah.
I will say.
Which is like in a nation as divided as ours lately. I mean, can you like...
Can you even differentiate
Yeah.
between the two?
That could be your cousin, your uncle, There's people like that all over the place.
I love how Diana also like phrased it as a PR piece as well to be like, no, he's not anti-human, he's pro-alien.
He's pro-alien.
He's not anti-anything.
His orders are to get the alien back to Earth. If the humans die, that's fine. But he's okay if they live. He's okay
He
if
is
the
okay.
humans
Yeah,
live.
yeah, he would be fine if they
He'd
lived.
be fine if we just had the alien in a little box.
Yeah.
And it just didn't do anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does reach a point where like if the face hugger hadn't implanted something and it had just died on the face,
Oh, you would have been chuffed.
He was just
Chuffed is like the worst word. I never know which word that means.
I really feel like Chuffed has been trying to make a big push lately.
Because of Nigel.
No, because of Nigel. I think fandom shows have been using Chuffed. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like Chuffed has jumped the pond and is
Chuffed
trying
is
to
just
like.
so charming.
You know what I like as a Britishism? Chuffed, I'm on the fence about. I like bit of kit to describe
Bit of kit.
anything that you own to be like, oh, that's a beautiful bit of kit.
That's a beautiful bit
You
of
have a friend
kit.
get like a nice new pair of headphones and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a nice piece of kit. Anything that you purchase is a nice piece of kit. I'm
I
like,
do love that.
I love that. I
I
love
think
that.
this is the reason you keep going camping because you said that so many times last weekend
I
when we
lo-
were in the woods.
I
You gotta
love
try it on.
You
gotta try it
You
on.
gotta try it on. It's a nice bit of kit.
We're alone in the woods. It's a good place to try it out.
It's a nice bit of kit.
It's a nice bit of kit, much like Alien.
Yeah, but he would have been chuffed to have just the face hugger.
100%.
Yeah, it's not like he knew it was making another alien. Like, yeah, he was like, cool, an alien.
Yeah.
I
Initially,
really-
he didn't know, and then he knew, and then he was like, "Oh, well, I like this just as much."
I feel like we have like the movie and us has like stopped, like leaped over the fact, and we touched on it briefly, that it's so insane that there's two different aliens in this movie. Like, I think the giant aliens who drive ships are so much more interesting than the alien.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Like-
love that they just leave that though, where they're like, "Here's the ship," and they're like, "Oh, it's a big guy," and they're like, "Okay, well, we should probably just move past that.
Should we crack off a rib to come back and study?
Not
or-
worth it. Not worth it.
Should we take any of this crazy technology?
No, not worth it.
No, we want this bug.
It's a ship the likes of which we've never seen.
Yeah.
But we want the bug.
Yeah, I would be okay if they were a little bit more excited about finding aliens.
Yeah.
Because, like, the alien, I don't find as that exciting as, like, an explorer. Because it's like, that's just an animal. Like, it's an alien, but it's an
Right.
animal. Like, you'd go to any planet and there'd be, like, crazy animals. But you're like, oh, shit, super smart giants.
Right.
That's huge.
They look like us.
Yeah.
That's the
they
main
got-
thing. It's like they look like
They
us.
look like there's other us's out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
That changes our definition of
Yeah.
religion, our position in the universe,
Whereas
everything.
the weird like finger spiders, like it's gross.
Oh yeah. Another planet
like-
made a gross thing.
Yeah, right.
That's noteworthy, but like,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
going to Australia. That's
Yeah,
just
exactly.
like, oh, there's a bunch of gross stuff that can
Just
kill
cross
me here.
that planet off of your like, should we visit here?
Yeah.
It's like, no, we found a finger spider. It was fucking weird.
it's gross. It's just gross.
just gross.
That space is Australia, and we don't go there now. But yeah, they kind of just like breeze, and even beyond the big people. If you're the Wayland Yutani Corporation and you are the robot Ash, whose thing is like, we want to find the ultimate predator we can sell it as a weapon or whatever the fuck this company is going to do. It's one of those vague, like, if you think about it too long, the company's like, step 1, alien that murders everything. Step 2,
There
step
we
3,
go.
profits.
It's like Jurassic Park. It's very similar to Jurassic Park, where every Jurassic Park movie, there's always a guy who's like, okay, but what about the raptors in the military? Where are we on that? You know what I mean?
Are we making profits from
Yeah.
that yet?
Vincent D'Onofrio is like, look, they're beautiful and everything, but can we have these in the military? Cut me some slack.
Can any of them hold a gun? Can any of them hold a gun?
The way that militaries are determined to militarize animals like we don't have guns is insane. It's
Yeah.
like we have guns.
We have an atomic bomb. Like, we can split the atom and just
Right.
vaporize. We can destroy our whole planet.
We have interstellar travel. And they're
Yeah.
like, but what if like a really good animal?
Yeah.
That's not going to do
like,
shit.
Well,
Unless it's for medical purposes of finding cures and shit.
Sure.
You know what I think would be wildly profitable? Whatever that alien ship was.
Yeah.
Any of the technology and
1000%.
whatever their hyperdrive or whatever the fuck that they were cruising.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
you're
if-
sitting in a big chair. You could probably sell that big chair. Get a huge chair.
You know when you go to the Toronto Islands and you sit in the big chair?
Yeah,
for the
yeah, yeah.
photo
Imagine that
op?
with
The
a
big
giant
Muskoka chair?
like Hubble telescope attached to it.
I love where your head's at.
Your
I'm like,
tourism
what's their
budget.
hyperdrive? And you're like, man, I can probably get a few bucks for that big chair.
Flip that on Kijiji. Yeah.
It's a novelty.
But you know the hyperdrive's good when you look like a boomerang. Like there's
yeah.
something different happening.
There's something. Yeah, it's not just like, oh, they also have our shit. They've got some other shit.
Yeah, it's extra. It's on top.
Yeah. Yeah, no interest in that. And apparently that also bummed out Ridley Scott as well, which is why he did Prometheus, where it was like everyone left the film Alien and was like, wow, the alien and Alien, that's wild. And apparently like there were interviews at the time where Ridley Scott was just like, no one's asked me about the engineer. Like everyone was like, who? And he's like the big man in the chair. So like
The guy the movie ignored completely.
Although it bums me out that it bums him out, because then he made Prometheus, which is like, you
Yeah.
didn't have to go on
You
that.
didn't have
you didn't
to.
have to depart on that little
Yeah,
journey.
if one journalist had been like, tell me about the
Tell me
engineer.
about him. What's his name?
Get it out of your system.
Get out. You know what? Let's do
Who is that guy?
Yeah, who is he? What's his name?
let's do an oral history on the engineer real quick. Let's
Just had some like
bang that
Comic-Con.
out.
Yeah.
Mr. Scott, right down front. What's his name?
What is his name?
Yeah.
How many of them were on the ship? Who died? Tell us.
Tell us everything.
And then Ridley like probably only has like 3 answers. He's like, oh, I didn't think of that far.
Yeah, but that's all he
yeah.
needs to get out of a system in that scenario. But I think it is cool that it's brushed past as well. Like I think that is kind of fun and interesting. That is, one of the many things in this movie that they're like, we're just going to keep going.
I
Yeah.
think they initially had a lot more shots of like the inside of the ship, and then they were just like, no.
Now let's keep it moving.
I mean, they already have a lot of shots of ships. Like,
Yes.
so like the 70s and 80s were just so much like, whoa, we built this thing. We are going to film every angle and we're going to put it in the movie. And like back then it was really, really cool. Like you get like 2001 A Space Odyssey, original Star Trek movie. Oh God, it's the longest fucking shots of the Enterprise you've ever seen in your goddamn life from 1979. It's so long. And this was very similar. I think like Star Wars does it best because they're like, here's the shots, but the ship's going really fast.
Yeah,
And
it's not listlessly floating
it's not
in
just
space.
like, it's not landing on a planet for 5 minutes.
It's not just vibes.
Right.
It's not just vibes.
It's
But
plot.
this is
a lot of
vibes.
vibes.
This is a painting. This is a Giger painting that was made. This
Right.
is someone who physically brought a painting to life. And that is impressive, but it is just vibes. But it's wildly impressive vibes.
It's vibes
vibes.
until you
It's
get
big
to
vibes.
the actual alien.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
favorite wet boy in the world. I love,
very wet boy.
I mean, I'm obviously not alone in this groundbreaking where I'm like, I fucking love the alien. Jesus Christ, he's so
Alien's
cool.
great.
Yeah, great creature design. Great. And even the fact that like the alien, like all of the tube-like shit looks like the ship, so it makes it so hard to see as well, especially
Yeah.
in that final sequence. It's just a really great creature design. And I know that they tried actively to avoid it looking like a guy in a suit. But there's one shot that's like 1 second. You know,
know
the one,
exactly
the one.
what shot you're about to
yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah. It's 1 second. It's when they have the flamethrower and they're in the tubes, and I
the
think
vents.
Dallas is like, I'm going
Yeah.
alone, and they're like, we can't tell where it's coming from. And you get the flamethrower pulse, and there's like a fraction of a second of lighting, and it's just like the alien's got its arms out, like what the fuck?
Yeah, he goes, blah.
And there's
He jazz hands him.
there's something about that actually kind of fucks me up.
Yeah.
I recognize that it is silly and inconsistent with the rest of the movie, but it also kind of fucking haunts me.
The idea that the alien has whimsy.
Yeah.
The alien was like, gotcha.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm right here.
Made you look.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. But no, I agree. It's the only shot, like, and it's like cool to have a quick shot of the alien. But yeah, his arms out. It feels more like I feel more like I'm looking at like the Shape of Water alien than I'm looking at like the alien.
Yeah, the sexy fish man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because they're both sexy as hell. We all
They're
agree.
both fine.
They're wet. They're sexy.
They're wet. They're fine.
They're
I
prosthetic.
think that they used shredded condoms to make his like saliva and stuff. They used like they shredded up
make
condoms
the-
and got him real wet, and then they like just drizzled that on him.
Yeah, because there is something about it that doesn't look like your typical
Spit.
Yeah, your typical spit, or I was even just gonna say like your typical animatronic.
Yeah.
Like there is something like living about
yeah.
how that mouth looks.
Yeah, and also
that
the,
mouth
How that
looks.
mouth, how that mouth looks.
Oh no.
the goo's not
What the
like
damn
any
hell?
goo I've ever seen before.
It's not like any goo. That should have been the tagline.
It's not like
Alien,
any
this ain't like goo you've ever seen before.
In space, this ain't like the goo that you see on Earth.
This ain't your grandma's goo. But yeah, there's also two mouths. So like you have to
Yeah.
be which mouth we talking about?
Now, I think the little mouth inside the mouth
Yeah.
is the real mouth.
Right.
I thought you were gonna say is the real alien.
I think
like
no,
a nesting doll.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
I'm gonna say
Okay.
yeah. I think everything outside is an exoskeleton because that little mouth inside the mouth is kind of what comes out of the chest.
Right.
That like the chest
Oh.
burster is basically like a little kind of like wormy slug. Like it's the little mouth, and then later it's got all this other shit around it. But I think that little mouth is the creature.
If you're listening and you're not seeing any video of what we're saying, Ivan me did pick up a pen to make this point.
Of the to
He's
show
been pointing a pen to say the little mouth is the real mouth.
Can you picture the little mouth, everybody?
Yeah, little mouth. Yeah. So I think that's the real mouth.
I mean, yeah, I think from a structural like building point, I can see what you mean. Yeah, I mean, it's also insane how much body mass that guy puts on in an hour. He went from chest burster to full alien
That's another thing that makes no sense. But it's like
because he hasn't eaten
Like,
anyone.
whatever.
whatever.
Yeah,
It made
you're watching,
it.
you're like, whatever.
Shut up, nerd. It made it.
Because otherwise they have to go for a nap.
Yeah.
And then they gotta wake up from the nap and be like, I guess we should go after the thing.
See, I like it when movies have that attitude of just like, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Shut up.
I do like how at the start of the movie, it's kind of like they were not really interested in the engineer or any of that stuff. And that kind of mimics how sort of like not interested they are in solving the problem. They are interested in it, but it's not like, you know, in a standard horror movie, it'd really break people down. But like, aside from like Lambert, the short-haired lady, like, it doesn't really break anyone.
No.
They don't get too broken up about it. They're just like, it's kind of like what you guys saying, like, we got to do another, it's like another job.
This is the same as a broken pipe. Like
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
a problem that we have to deal with
Yeah.
right now.
Like
and
John
we'll
Hurt
figure it
dies
out.
and they don't even cry about it. They're just like, oh, damn it. We got to go pick that weird little reptile thing up.
Yeah, for a guy that they were willing to break quarantine for and were so worried about when he
100%.
was like had an alien on his face. Like, well, now that he's dead, we just don't care.
Yeah, spared zero thought on him.
We liked him a lot when he was still alive.
Yeah.
It gives me the impression that a couple people have died just doing mining.
100%.
Oh,
That
yeah.
like there was, so I don't know how exactly many of them it is in this movie. Let's say it's 10. I think 20 of them went out on that space mining operation, and like at least 3 dudes got crushed by a forklift. You know what I mean? Like while they were grabbing
By
asteroids
that
or
big
however the hell
aliens,
this
like
worked.
mech walker forklift. Oh yeah.
And it's like they don't want that to happen, and they're like, "Oh no, don't get crushed by the mech walker."
100%.
And then it does, and they're like, "All right, anyway, back to getting lithium out of this asteroid
They're
or
like,
whatever the shit."
he didn't have his Wimmis. He's lifting with his back over there. It's over 35 pounds. We all know.
All right, now we all need to take an hour out of our day to watch this safety video about using the giant mech suit. Now, now that Brian is dead, we need to take a moment.
Distinct lack of HR on the ship.
Yeah. There's definitely
HR died.
Yeah.
They're the ones who didn't make it. Or Mother is HR?
Mother, I think, is
Mother's HR.
Yeah.
And not very good at it.
And
Yeah,
not
Mother's
very-
filing that right into the shredder.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm going to say about this movie that is very interesting is that Mother is this like supercomputer that runs everything who like is like does not compute, cannot give an answer. I'm like, okay, that's like computers. And like, by the way, there's an android that humans can't tell is a robot. And I'm like, are we good at at computers or not, guys?
Right. You should really be able to tell by the way that he's a robot.
I mean,
Yeah.
He drinks so much milk. Not only do they not know he's a robot, but they never go like, hey, don't you think that's enough milk for today? Like they never step in and go like, he does this milk thing. You guys have noticed this, right? There should be one 5-minute chunk of them shit talking him in the hallway being like, he's like still at it.
What's up, Milk? They just call him Milk to his face.
We could have had more food if we didn't have so
How much milk have you been drinking? How many smokes have you had today, huh? Why don't you answer me? Like,
That's
he
the
flips
thing,
that.
yeah.
have you ever eaten a solid food, my dude? And he hasn't because
has
he's
not.
a robot.
He does not have to.
Yeah, I don't think the milk's going down well by the looks of things when he started tripping out.
I assume it's not actually milk, and it's some kind of like hydrating
Space milk?
fluid, oil or something.
Oh, okay.
Where you're like
It's weird because I think
energy
in
drink.
practicality it is milk.
Oh, I think it's milk.
Yes.
I think
and
Ian
I think
Holm
they do
is drinking
fill him
milk.
up with milk.
Yeah.
I think when he explodes, it is milk.
It is milk coming out.
I think.
But I think it's like robot juice.
Right.
Like I think if one of the humans had been like, "Give me a sip of your milk," they'd be like, "Puh,
Right.
robot juice." Or,
Yeah, I can see that. It'd be like, did you make your robot juice look like milk? We've been calling you milk.
discovered instantly.
It's way cooler that you drink raw robot juice, dude.
You're like, damn it, this is robot juice.
and they still don't figure out he's a robot.
They still don't figure it out. They just think he's a badass who drinks robot juice.
He does so many things that are like when they're talking about the alien at one point, he calls it Kane's son. He calls the alien like the John Hurt's son.
I didn't even catch
He
that.
goes, Kane's son. It's just out of nowhere. And they go, anyway, you should probably go up in the air ducts and get it. And no one took a second to be like, wait, what did you just say? Why'd you say that?
Ian Holm, you're always weird drinking. If a guy was always drinking milk, I would ignore everything he said. To be totally honest,
That's fair.
I'd
He probably
be-
gave him the ship-wide ick.
Yeah.
Because ship-wide ick, I think, is a good description of it. Because he does say weird shit that it's like, yeah, it's strange that no one clues onto it. But they really do create a sense almost immediately of everyone's like, we're not listening to him when he's talking.
100%.
This dude makes us uncomfortable. He doesn't know when to start talking, and he doesn't know when to stop. And either way, we just are very socially off-put by this man, so we don't engage with him.
I think that it's because he's like assigned, like they kind of hint at it that the science officer are just like assigned to the ship.
Yeah.
They're not part of the regular crew. So he's kind of just like a stowaway, and they probably don't like him at all.
Yeah.
So I
He's
think
the
they're the
corporate
guys.
guy.
They are the guys that go like, no, we should bring the alien.
He's the only guy who tucks in his uniform.
That's huge.
And it's just like, you're a dweeb. You're a dweeb. You are
You're
a
a
dweeb.
dweeb. You
We're
gotta-
space miners, and you've tucked in your uniform.
Yeah, you got an email from Whale on Yutani, and they were like, "Tuck your uniform, man. You're a robot." He's like, "Okay." And honestly, there's so many clues once you're looking for robot clues.
I do.
Who 8 months in is still like, I tuck in my shirt.
I do want to say it's on the subject of the uniform. I love, even though it makes no sense, that all of them are wearing a uniform, but none of them are wearing the same uniform.
Yes.
It feels like if you went to like a Star Trek convention and grabbed a bunch of cosplayers, but none of them were dressed up from the same generation of Star Trek. So it's like there's people on this ship wearing like original series uniforms, TNG uniforms, DS9 uniforms. And I'm like, all of you have the same logos or insignias like on your sleeve or chest or somewhere, but none of you have worn the same uniform.
100%.
Today.
Brett's wearing a damn Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, which has the patches on it still.
He's
to be
like, gotta patch this up.
Was that from the company retreat? You know, like if it was like he was given that in a swag bag when they all went to like Disney World one year on a company retreat.
Now that one I assumed he just wanted to wear his Hawaiian shirt, and they were like, you have to wear symbols of Weyland-Yutani. He was like, I'll just put it on myself.
Iron the patch on.
He's ironing the patch on. But
and
I
they were
agree.
like, bah humbug.
It is weird that everyone's dressed a little differently. It makes it feel more like it's like everyone got hired by a different company or like different levels of the military. If it was a military ship, it was like, those are the Marines, those are the Army, but it's not. They all work for the same guy.
Yeah.
But I guess there's just like I guess the catalog of uniform is really big. When you get that little catalog and it's like, pick your uniform out and you can just pick anything.
Page 60. Yeah.
Straight to page 60.
Straight to
Hawaiian shirt. Yeah, let's party. I like the fuck. Yeah, let's do this.
Went to the very end.
Yeah.
I also like that they're old. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're all like
They're
just
old.
like lived in.
Yeah, they're like 40s plus.
Oh,
they're
okay.
not like teen horror movie stuff.
Yeah.
Like I think Sigourney Weaver's the youngest one, and she's like in her late 20s.
Yeah,
it's
that's
weird.
not bad.
It is weird there's no like intern, but I get if you're got like $1 billion ship that you're like, I'm sending experienced fucking astronauts miners.
Right. Yeah.
This is basically Armageddon, but like 8 layers later.
Yeah,
We're spending miners into space.
Yeah.
So they gotta be good at their jobs.
And it is very strange as well, like of continuing that like on the subject of horror tropes of like there's no like sexy teens who are the interns who are looking to bang like a Jason
100%.
X or something like that. Because like normally they would have the characters as well like parallel what the threat represents. And famously the threat in this movie represents sexual assault. And to have a very non-sexualized crew with no sex scenes or I think there's like a magazine cutout of a boob in a locker at one point.
I mean,
and
that's
that's
about
about
classic horror
That is-
thing.
that
And that's
is
a
such a
classic horror thing.
Yeah.
That is such a classic way to see boobs before you're allowed to see boobs.
Yeah.
It's like your parents like, yeah, you can watch this. It doesn't have like boobs. You're like, there's some boobs out.
Yeah.
Now, if I saw that in a movie, I'd be like, "What a waste of an R rating! You could have made this more accessible." But
yeah, even when Sigourney gets like naked at the end, it's like it's not like very. I don't think it's very sexy. I feel like maybe there is a sexiness element.
it was
to
for me.
but
that's because of some of the stuff that I brought to the table. All right,
That was one-way traffic.
That was not Ridley's decision.
Yeah,
I don't think. I think that was largely on me.
yeah, because I watched that and I'm just like, you did this whole adventure in underwear that did not fit. This is crazy, girl. I was so uncomfortable on her behalf. I was like, I've worn underwear that's too small and just like had a bad day. And you already were having a very bad day.
Yeah, those underwear were hanging on for dear life in
Yeah.
that final shot.
Oh, yeah.
Unless she just like lost a ton of weight and but they're still too small, even if you've just lost a ton of weight. Like they don't work in any scenario.
Yeah, that is true.
Those are not practical. I'm an astronaut underwear.
Yeah.
Wasn't there like rumors? I don't know if they're like substantiated that Ridley and all of them had to tell her that because she kept like her muff was showing.
Oh, they CG'd it out. It cost a lot of money. She,
What? I did not know this.
She would
Yeah.
not trim her pubic hair.
Okay.
Which?
1979.
Girl
People-
Okay,
people
sure.
did. Go right ahead. But Ridley Scott hated it, and CG was wild because this is mostly a practical movie.
Yeah.
CG was wildly expensive. It cost like $20,000 or something for them to get rid of her
Whoa.
pubic hair.
Her protested pubes.
Wow, I did
She
not
said
know
no.
this.
Also, there was a cut scene where she does have sex with Dallas, but they got rid of it.
And I think that's the right call. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
read that as
Oh, I
well. I
didn't
think
know
it
about
is
that.
in like a director's cut, but I think that's the right
like
call
her-
that
yeah,
was removed.
Her
Yeah.
screen test was that. Was like
Okay.
her
'Cause
like
yeah, that's not
doing
cool. So it's like her boss.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Yeah, no, it's like
And
that's
also
why.
it's-
Also, there was no chemistry.
And it's also just like not the vibes of this movie. You know
Yeah.
what I
It's
mean?
not.
Like, yeah.
And like we said, the only HR on the ship is Geiger. Anyways, had to slide that in.
And as well, like I think like Ridley Scott is someone as a director, like from what I understand anyway, it seems like it seems like female stars are very comfortable with him and have like a lot of faith in him of like doing these female-led projects and female empowerment as well in a way that feels he's not taking advantage of his stars. He is actually like being a voice for them, which is so interesting. Like the work of Ridley Scott is wild. Like he directed Thelma and Louise.
Yeah.
You know, like Thelma and Louise and Alien being in your Gladiator and The Martian.
He's got a very strange pantry.
Yeah, very eclectic to be like, there's multiple science fiction. Sure, there's Blade Runner in there. And there's like, oh, it's Blade Runner and Alien. But it's like, but Gladiator and Thelma and Louise?
Yeah.
It's kind of just whatever floats his boat at the time.
Yeah. A really inconsistent library as well. But he doesn't.
1,000%.
Yeah, there's some real stankers in there as well. You get a G.I. Jane in there as well, but another like attempt at female empowerment. And
I
like,
liked Kingdom of Heaven.
and yeah, Diana was the one who liked Kingdom of Heaven.
The one.
It starred Orlando Bloom.
That's a fact.
And that's a win for you. But yeah, wildly inconsistent, but also a director that I like, where I'm like, I like directors who aren't writers and don't get too hands-on-y with their projects, with the exception of maybe like him kind of fumbling a bit with Prometheus. But of him just being like, yeah, someone else wrote a script. I think I can make it look good. And I'm going to be really nice to all the actors I work with. And I'm going to make a film on time that looks good. And then it'll come out and people might be like, oh, actually, this script doesn't work. And it's just like,
well, I had no part of that.
On to the next one. I know how to make them look good.
But did it look good?
Yeah. It's a real, like, I'm like, there's not many of those anymore. Every director now has to be an auteur and to be like, I have my hand in every pie. And Ridley Scott is still showing up and be like, I could direct this or not. I couldn't give 3 shits less.
3 shits left.
He couldn't give 3 shits less. He didn't even
And I've only got 2.
He's only got 2 shits. He didn't want to direct Thelma and Louise. He was a producer of that, and he was like, someone else should do this story. And apparently, like, the stars were like, actually, we like you a lot. He's like, fine, I will, but I don't want to.
Right.
So it's just like
Begrudging.
He's just a craftsman who's around, I think.
I like what you're saying about the female like lead stuff, because I think that's very interesting, because I like that, like, as far as I know, because I haven't seen many Ridley Scott interviews, but I think that pushes the point that I'm about to make, which is that like he's not like praise me for giving female leads in movies, which like some creators like to do. Joss Whedon. Yeah. Joss Whedon likes to be like, I'm a girl dad feminist boy and all my leads are female. And like I feel like this is very much like, no, women can lead movies.
Yeah.
She's cool as hell.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him like really take a bath in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
really sit there and be like,
where are my laurels?
Yeah. Really looking for it as well. Yeah. And also just creating what seems like just safe and positive work environments for women. He's not, James Cameroning where it's like, I would love to drown an actor someday.
Yes.
He's just out there being like, yeah, just be cool, hold this fake flamethrower, we'll figure it out. Yeah.
We'll edit your mouth.
Well, that might be like the least allyship thing that he's done from what I understand or the public knowledge today, August 8th, 2024, that exists on Ridley Scott well.
Speaking of women dying, question mark? This is my segue. I tested this earlier because I don't like to just say things that aren't true. I don't think you can choke someone with a magazine in their mouth.
No.
There's a big hole in the middle. I could breathe really easily.
You would? Oh
yeah.
You wouldn't like it?
I wouldn't.
You certainly
like
wouldn't
it,
like it. But I don't think you'd lie down on your back flailing.
I mean, he's a robot, so I don't know if I could like get up, but like I could still breathe. So you can just keep laying there.
That's true.
You can just keep laying there and breathe if you want.
He can't be that strong. His head came off.
Yeah, it is.
Is he strong or not?
They give him
the milk was for his bones.
Yeah, They give him data level strength, but weird fragility. Like he's physically strong, but built poorly.
Yeah, he does like the one arm choke thing where you're like, that's like indicative of like, oh damn.
Oh, robot strength.
This guy's strong.
Oh yeah, he's got the robot strength. He's super good.
And then he gets hit with a fire extinguisher and
he's like
top half of his body comes off.
And he really starts wailing too.
Like a human head wouldn't even come off from a fire extinguisher hit.
No.
It would like crumble a little.
Yeah, he gets hit one good time.
Well, once again, you wouldn't like it.
I wouldn't.
Nah, you wouldn't
I wouldn't like any of it, but I can breathe through a magazine is my hot take of Alien.
Yeah. The cut of the prosthetic head being laid down is such a that might be the only thing in this movie where I'm like, there's no way this was how you wanted this to look in your initial vision.
And the dangling alien at the end. out of the spaceship is
yeah.
a little bit like,
Yeah. A little bit like, oh, the doll didn't behave like you wanted it to. Yeah.
But yeah, the prosthetic, they didn't come up with a good enough, like, I mean, the cut's also awkward, but they also didn't come up with a good enough reason for Ridley to keep being like, stand
Adjusting
up.
it, yeah.
She adjusts it so many times. And if it's a robot, it should just talk on its back. So why are all these edits still in there of her just being like, stand upright and match Ian Holmes' real head for the love of fucking God?
Yeah.
I think the head that they had decayed so much, they said.
Oh.
And it was a budget
decayed?
thing, and they
What was it
couldn't
made
make
of?
a new head.
Fuck.
I'm not entirely sure what they made it of, but like it was like a budget crunch thing. Like we could make a new head, but at this point, this head looks nothing like Ian Holmes.
And it didn't.
Yes,
No.
it's garbage. There's flies on it.
Yeah.
Like, this is an atrocious piece of
Yeah.
garbage.
I think at that point, maybe just as the director, I'm like, all right, during the fight, we hit those lights, and it's really dark in here now.
yeah.
It's a little bit more
Or just have like the
shadowy.
wherewithal to have someone walk in front of the camera.
And that's the other thing,
Do like a
because-
little trick. You
'cause
guys
they-
don't know a little trick?
They almost do that,
Yeah, they
but they
do.
don't quite commit to it.
Right.
Where it's like we've seen this, a lot of our listeners and people have seen this in a million movies now, where it's like the camera wipe, where an actor walks directly in front of the camera, and that is a moment for them to cut to different footage when they move away from the camera. And like I think it's like Ripley's arm, or it
Yeah.
might be a different character's arm, get half
It
covers the
grazes.
camera.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fully
yeah.
wipe across.
It doesn't cover the part where they're changing it to his head.
Yeah. So, but I'm like,
Which is like the part.
just an extra 2 feet of movement
Yeah.
would have completely covered it.
100%.
So it's very strange. Very strange.
And also, if you built this whole thing where he looks like he's in the table, just don't even use the fake head if it looks bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do the other shot. Do like the from behind shot where they're doing the head and then cut back to the front.
Oh, a behind
Yeah.
shot.
Oh, behind shot.
Ridley
Oh, a behind shot would have solved everything.
But this type of creative problem solving is one of the things that I feel like is the most important thing, and often gets lost now when people talk about things should be done with practical effects. When we talk about CGI versus practical effects in movies, there's a lot of like nostalgia and fondness for practical effects. And people are like, it's got to be practical. It's got to be practical. And yes, I like practical better, but I think one of the best things that comes out of practical are these beautiful creative solution moments where it's like it creates movie magic in a way that wasn't intended when it set out. It's the shark malfunctioning in Jaws that changes the entire tone of the movie, where it's like there's no level of CGI. If CGI fails, it looks bad. It doesn't create a new opportunity to solve.
Right.
And even things in this movie like that, the original chestburster scene, the animatronic didn't come out of the chest like they intended in one swoop. So it looked like the alien was struggling to explode out of the ribs. And they kept that in to be like, it feels so much more real if it takes multiple attempts to crack a man's rib cage.
Right.
And that's way scarier. And it's just an animatronic not having enough force pressure in the hydraulic lift or whatever they were using.
You know, the lift they put in John Hurt's chest.
The
The hydraulics.
in the dummy's chest.
When they actually killed John.
When they
Hurt.
actually killed John Hurt. But it's like, those beautiful moments of filmmaking where it's like, oh no, a weird problem occurred with practical effects, and now it's made the mythos of this movie so much
It's kind of
better.
become the calling card, yeah, because now every time something like the chest bursters, you can always get that initial like like the little like rib crack thing going on. They always have that now.
Yeah, that little torque, but with your chest.
Yeah. Chest work.
That is
The
twerking.
chest workers.
Yeah, it's twerking, but just leading with the chest.
Not bursting. Working.
No, it's chest twerking.
But that's a great point. Yeah, movies these days, like, you don't get like a cool backstory about like, the ship didn't fly, or the shark didn't work, or the chest burster didn't come out. It's more like,
And then we all had to get together as a creative team and figure it out.
or something like that will happen where they'll have a practical effect. I'm like, I wish I had an example, but I'm sure it exists, of like, we have a practical effect and it was going to look so good, and then we CG'd it at the end anyway. And I feel like they do that a lot these days.
Yeah.
And it's always like, you had that on set?
Right.
Yeah, do the real thing. Yeah.
I feel like in a couple of the Predator movies, they have like a Predator costume or whatever, and then they end up CGing a lot of it, and people are like, why? Because then, like, they show the behind the scenes. You're like, that looks good.
That looks way
Yeah.
better.
That actually looks good.
That looks upsetting in the room.
Yeah.
You know you've got a good costume when it looks good in behind the scenes footage.
Right.
When it's just like when it is an exhausted giant in a suit trying to have a sandwich.
It's behind a rack or beside like a rack of clothes.
Yeah.
It's like the environment is not scary at all. Like there's like an extra standing beside it.
But it still looks real and
Yeah.
scary. Yeah, that is a great. That's how you know. I've seen very few behind the scenes of the alien just like hanging out.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah.
He's like a 6'10" Nigerian guy.
Yeah, yeah. So they got like a basketball player size guy just in there, and
massive.
and taught him to move less human-y.
Right.
Yeah, with the exception of the like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Maybe that wasn't him because like you're in like the little duct. Maybe they got a smaller guy for that scene.
Yeah,
who
just
was
wearing
like,
the top
What
half.
do we do?
Yes, I think there is a second person credited as the alien. So maybe
sure.
that is actually maybe that is the
I'm
like.
gonna start a new conspiracy theory.
That's the alien equivalent of like the lost footage of Jean-Claude Van Damme in the Predator suit, where it's like, oh, he does a lot of spin kicks.
Yeah.
Like you get 1 second of a spin kick in the Predator movie, and you're like, I think that's the Van Damme shot.
That's him. He was only on for a day, but
I think that's
I know
it.
a Van Damme shot.
Yeah.
I have a structural question, and it's a joke question and also a little bit serious. What do you guys think a room full of wet chains is for?
I think
The wet chain room,
The wet chain room.
practically,
Yeah.
I got nothing. Because
I've
I
got-
understand why a room might be wet, and I understand why a room might have chains, but I don't know why it would have both those things.
right.
Nigel, take it away.
Nigel?
I've got a real answer and a joke answer for you. The real answer, I think it's an agriculture room. I don't know why it has chains then.
There's no plants?
I have no idea. And then the fake answer, or the joke answer is, how else are they supposed to keep the damn chains wet? You want dry chains?
They're not going to rust themselves.
Huge problem in space.
Yeah.
Really dry chains.
Really dry chains. You need to do that to
Everyone's
rust them
talking
out.
about it. And it, like the way that like Brett looks up and gets water on his face, I'm like, is there a water shortage?
Yeah,
and we're
yeah,
using
yeah.
it all on the chains.
See, I think the chains were like, because they're a mining operation. All right. So I think the chains were like grabbing chunks of earth and stuff and hauling it into the ship. So they were grabbing stuff out of like an ocean planet, maybe.
That
They
would have
were
been
wet.
months ago.
And then
They've been in cryo for 10 months.
That's true. They're in their tidy whities.
The chains are wet now.
But now the chains are wet.
But now the chains are wet, so you got to keep that in mind.
Now, did the
You
alien?
gotta
think about that.
Well,
Yeah,
you gotta consider it from that angle.
And also the most like succinct answer would be the alien's kind of wet and looks like chains.
Yeah.
So they got to put him in a place
gotta put
that
him in the chain
matches,
room.
yeah.
Which got wet first? The chains
Right.
or the alien? Did the chains make the alien wet? Did the alien make the chains wet?
See, I think the alien is gooey
I
because
think
that's
it's gooey.
yeah. You haven't seen goo like this before.
I have
Remember
not.
the tagline
Right.
for the film? Don't remember the tagline for the film, right? So I think that the alien is gooey and the chains are wet. I think is what it is.
Yeah,
So the
that's the
alien,
difference.
the
Yes.
alien was just like, oh, this is close to goo. This is as good as it's getting.
That's a great like scene, like in terms of like not showing but showing though too, when he like kind of like unfurls behind him.
Yeah.
That's awesome. They just have to like drop the tail a little bit. They just kind of like unfold it. Like that's so.
really- yeah.
Those kind of things are so great because then you don't get to see the whole thing. You don't have to have that 6'10" guy go, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not seeing the whole thing. And I will also say the cat's acting, the reaction of the cat to the
good shit.
alien really sells like,
Yes.
oh shit, that is a fucked up thing that cat is seeing. And I don't know if there's like acting awards for animals.
There should be.
For
There
Jonesy.
should be. Because for that Jonesy, I know that dog who like does CPR in that movie that I haven't seen everyone was liking that guy.
Balto? No, that's an animated movie. That's not a real dog.
It was like The Staircase or whatever. So, no, that one that came. The dog
Yeah.
went to the Oscars.
I know the one.
right. Oh
So yeah. There should be an Oscar for animals
for-
because that cat like is reacting and that is selling the shit out of the alien.
And Jonesy, frankly, thriving, doing great. Frankly, does the worst once it is put into a snack-sized cage
Yeah.
it can't escape from. When Ripley is like, "Come on, Jonesy, get
like
in the
shoves it
carrier,"
in there, yeah.
and then drops the carrier as a snack in front of the alien, I'm like, I actually think, other than. Granted, the cat does not understand a self-destruct sequence. Other than the self-destruct sequence, this cat is better at this than you.
Yeah, it's not helping push the rods down for that.
No.
Well, you know, every spaceship is like, oh no, I got to turn the rods and then flick the red buttons on all the rods.
The goddamn rods are load bearing.
The cutoff's coming up, and I still got to push down 2 rods.
Oh, I'm so close with the rods.
The self-destruct is a little too complex, I gotta say.
Very complex.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to a single button? Especially when like that bitch is doing a countdown about like, no, you didn't quite
Running
get
low on
it.
time. No, you got to finish the sequence before the 30-second cutoff or whatever.
Yeah, it's like you might be able to sense that I was trying. I was getting pretty close.
Yeah,
There's
you
got to be
know-
like, yeah.
Mother, you know that this should have been canceled.
Yeah.
Like
I'm pressing the levers up. I was off by 2 seconds.
Come on.
I pressed the 2 final levers up.
But also, like, rewatching this, you see so much as a fan of, like, the video game series Resident Evil, which I know you are as well, to be like, oh, yeah, all of this is the aesthetic and design of Resident Evil games. The, like, start the self-destruct sequence, you got to push the damn rods.
Oh,
the
yeah, she
damn
has 3 medallions with separate animals on them, and that's how she gets out of the ship or whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
Resident Evil's, it's always like, ooh, you found the cat's eye jewel. You should probably put that in the statue in RPD.
What do you think?
Maybe.
Be like, why are the dang chains wet? And Resident Evil's like, because they're the wet chain room. Come on. I really like the, there is a direct line between this of like things that influenced me so heavily growing up of like Alien to Aliens, Terminator to Terminators, and like the Resident Evil video games. I love the thriller to action pipeline
Right.
led by badass female heroes who are getting fucked over by a greedy corporation.
100%.
There is so much that has established what A, sexually awakens me. B, my political ideology is. C, what I find cool. That comes from Terminator, Alien, and Resident Evil. Yeah.
Andrew really you have a type, and it's crazy there's 3 of that type.
Yeah.
Is there more of that type?
I mean, like, there's 3 of that type that are a series that progressively each one continues to follow my type. Because I just really like this. I really like all 3 of them for, like, competent woman is in over her head. And then by the 3rd time around, it's like, competent woman has learned how to make her own bullets and will eat you for breakfast. She is nonstop.
Competent woman is cocking a shotgun with 1 hand now.
Yes. And I'm like, hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Love
We're
seeing
friends.
you grow.
Yeah.
That's growth, baby.
Yeah.
Andrew's the real feminist here.
Yeah, exactly.
He is actually genuine.
Well, I'm feeling pretty good on Alien. Do we have any other thoughts to lay down before we go in for the close?
They try and put a spoon in his mouth when he's chest bursting, and I just thought that was a fun relic of times past.
Yeah, you were not supposed to do
You're not
that
supposed to do that
anymore.
anymore.
No, certainly not anymore. No,
Not anymore.
But they really try to get it in there.
But they to the point where I was worried for the actor's teeth. Where I was like, they're really
At
fighting
one point,
him.
the spoon is like horizontal or like vertical. It's like you drop that.
Yeah.
That's tucked in the back.
It felt like John Hurt knew you weren't supposed to do this. He was like, I bet we're gonna change this soon.
It felt like
I
it felt like John Hurt had talked to his dentist that morning, and his dentist was like, "You're not gonna let them bash your teeth out as they try to put a whole
little
spoon in
yeah.
there, are you?"
You just got these fixed. He used his alien money to get his teeth fixed, and then they tried to knock out his fucking teeth. He was like, no, my teeth.
Please don't.
My new alien teeth.
Please don't. Love it. Well, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change. So now that we've discussed everything we've discussed, what would you change about this movie if you could change anything? Before we do ask that final question, we will remind you, as we do every week, to please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, it helps us in the charts and in our hearts. We love hearing that you guys like the show. Other people like hearing that the show is good. It's nice all around to get a 5-star review, and it's a free way to support us. And if you love us, support us.
Why not do that?
Just help us out.
Just help us out. What's your problem?
What's your problem?
I don't know. I got too defensive.
Put a spoon in our teeth.
I got too defensive.
We need help.
Thank you. Things are going good here. And as well, if you do want to support the podcast monetarily, you can do that over on Patreon, which is a monthly subscription service where you can subscribe at whatever level is in your budget and get cool bonuses for doing so. So if your budget is $1 a month, you can kick in $1 a month and you'll get our webcomics early. And you'll also get our great appreciation for being one of our patrons. And then different levels at $3, you can get these episodes early and ad-free. And at the $10 hero level, you will get an exclusive bonus episode of this podcast every single month.
Yeah, and you also get access to every other episode immediately. And the back catalog is the words that I'm looking for.
And that's right.
As soon as you sign up. So there is hundreds more Talking Superheroes awaiting you.
Last month we did Twister, which was a great episode. Woo! The original Twister, the singular, very alien to aliens.
Yeah, 100%. The pipeline continues.
The pipeline of the adding an S with a $sign on it in a pitch meeting continues.
You know a movie's going to be good when they're like, we're going to be the titular Twister or alien or like... This is the alien.
This is the alien. This is the aliens.
Twister.
This is Twisters.
Anyway, we did Twister on the Patreon.
And that's available right now. So if your finances change, you can always cancel or change your level on any given month. So there's different options. And if you sign up for the 1 year option, you get 1 month free as well. So check out everything that we have available as a thank you for being our patrons over at patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That is patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. And now, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? Diana, let's start with you. What would you change about this if you could change anything?
This alien gets flamethrowered. This is my big change for Alien. It's so early in the movie that like everyone gets a flamethrower. And then they shoot them down hallways and they have flames all the time and they look so cool. And at no point does this alien get flamethrowered in any way? And practically I know why. Because they were like, we don't want to destroy this alien suit.
Our one costume.
Yeah, we have one alien costume and we do not want to light it on fire. Even though we have written a movie where we've only given our characters flamethrowers instead of guns or something. So they have these flamethrowers. They never light it on fire. So like unlimited budget, I get to change it. This fucker gets lit on fire, and I get to see the alien, and I'm hoping that it doesn't even hurt him. And he just stalks towards you, and he's like, now I'm on fire. It'll probably go out because I'm wet, or you can't even light me, or I'm unlightable. Anyway, something cool is going to happen if you shoot this guy with fire, and I want to see it. And that's my change, because Alien's a pretty damn good movie, so you don't have to change a whole lot.
I love that. I love the whole, you fool, I'm innately wet.
Right? It's like Aquaman.
It self-fire extinguishes.
Yeah, it's like Aquaman fighting the Human Torch. He's like, I got water.
Well, maybe that's what the gel is. The goo. You know the fire burn gel that they put on stunt actors before you do a fire burn stunt? So maybe that's what it's oozing. To be like, I can't burn. I'm constantly sweating out the flame retardant gel that you put on stunt actors who have to do a fire burn.
I mean, if that's what's on him, then we definitely should have lit that guy on fire.
Then we definitely
should have shot that guy.
I love that. That's a great change. Nigel, what about you? What would you change about this movie?
One small thing, one big thing. Small thing, I would make Ash less overt. I would make him less overt. I'd have him saying...
You could tell he was a robot?
Yes, I could have less milk, less saying stuff like, ooh, my little baby's here. Stuff like that. I get it. You're evil. He already does enough, uncanny stuff. And then the second thing, this is really derivative. I don't know if you've played the video game Alien Isolation. A
little bit, yeah.
So this is a spoiler alert for the ending of that game, but I thought it was a very fun twist. And this is, at the end of the game, you realize there's actually 2 aliens. I think it'd be very fun if Ripley killed the alien, like you said, on the ship with the flamethrower, and then when she enters into the side ship, into the escape shuttle, then she finds another alien. It kind of opens your eyes to be like, there's more, there can be more. And I think that segues nicely into Aliens.
I like that a lot, because that is a great a great different reason to do the false ending.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that absolutely works, especially because they've already established that 2 of them, the bodies are taken.
Yeah, they're gone. They're
implanted.
disappeared.
They're not it's not like we found the bodies and they're dead like the other people. It's like, no, they definitely could have got aliens.
Yeah, they quite specifically every time say there's no trace of him.
There's no trace. I mean, there's a deleted scene where she finds them and they're being aliens.
Yes.
So that's a great change. That's
Love
fun.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew, what would you change?
My big change is just to cut a bit of time and add flow. I would remove the concept of mother. I think that the mother as the ship's AI that reports to the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, it doesn't add anything and frankly gets in the way. And it just kind of doubles the amount of time it takes to deliver any exposition. So there's moments where it's like, oh, Sigourney Weaver goes to the mother machine, and the mother machine's like, we told the scientist guy to only care about alien. And then she goes and talks to the scientist guy, and he's like, let me exposition this for you. I was told to only care about alien.
Right,
and I'm like, well, if you are going to say all the things that was on the computer screen, but you're going to do it better because you are an actor
Yeah,
who
you're
knows
Ian
how
Holm.
to.
Yeah.
You're Ian Holm, and you can deliver this better than a DOS computer.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think the whole mother thing is just largely irrelevant and is kind of an excuse to do a fun little set room that's
Right.
very Kubrick, HAL, Space Odyssey, but it doesn't need to be
Doesn't
there.
add a ton to the
Doesn't add
story.
anything.
Yeah,
And-
except for the keyboard goes ricky tucky ticky ticky,
It's a-
which is pretty cool.
I love the sounds.
Yeah.
Yes, I do love the fucking sounds. The hard mechanical keyboard clickety clack.
Oh, yeah.
Followed by the struggling processor that sounds like a printer that's
Yes.
just.
Oh yeah, it's like an inkjet. It's crazy. Yeah.
The spaceship runs on inkjet.
That's why it's so expensive.
Yeah. It's an Epson.
Now, can we cut Mother but keep the cool room anyway?
You know what? Why
Cool
not?
room could still be science
Could be
room.
just the
room's
comms, the
cool.
comms
How about this? I'm going to say this. How about the cool room is the core where you have to initiate the self-destruct sequence?
Yeah,
Love it.
sure.
Because that is a perfect looking room to have some tubes that you have to shove into the damn tubes.
Yeah.
That looks
damn
like a
tube
room
holes.
that explodes.
That's the
It
room.
does,
Yeah.
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 No, because right now she blows up like the bridge floor, and I'm like,
Yeah, why is it right there?
Yeah, why? Yeah. So I think, keep the design of the fun room, and that's the tube room now.
well, then now I love it because I don't
Sweet.
want to lose that cool room.
Let's keep the room and its tubes now.
Excellent.
Yeah, let's keep the room and its tubes. The alien catches on fire, and that's the death of that alien, and then it's
there's
a second alien at
MF
the
an alien.
end.
We've really come together like a team.
These, you know what? It's rare that there's a nice synchronicity around the changes, but this
Oh,
is
really?
we've got a fucking writer's room happening now, guys.
Look out, alien.
Ridley?
You're a piece of shit, and
Get-
we're going to make you better.
Get at us. Well, that is going to do it for this week. Next week, we're going to be back and we're going to be talking about the new film, Alien Romulus. So we'll be talking about that next week. And since it's a new movie as well, if you want to hear our coverage of it opening weekend before to make a decision if you want to go see it on the Patreon at the $3 level, you get our episodes early and ad-free, so you can hear the episode before the weekend and decide if you want to go check it out. But we'll be talking about that next week on the podcast. Nigel, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, buddy.
What the damn hell? Thanks, guys. It
What
was
the
awesome.
damn- where can listeners find more of you?
All my socials are just like my name. It's just Nigel Grinstead. Instead with a GR in front of it. You can find me on anything. I am pretty away from socials recently, so have fun finding me.
Hey, he's out there having mental health. You know what I mean? Keeping away from the socials. That's fine.
A little bit
That's a good way to
jealous.
be. Yeah, just look for him out in the wild.
He's around in Toronto.
He's around.
I do shows in Toronto.
Yeah.
Come by and whatever. Message me if you want to see a show.
He's at Comedy Bar quite a bit. He's very
Hell
funny. And if you want to get a hold of us, you can find me online at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can find me at Pics of Diana on Threads and Instagram, Words of Diana on Tumblr. That's what I love.
And you can find both of us at From Superheroes, and you can check out all the podcasts and everything we create over at FromSuperheroes.com. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.